Thank you so very much. 15 years later, I actually have to wear reading glasses, so please excuse me. So it's so good to be back here 15 years later in Massachusetts. Massachusetts has a special place in our hearts, and we know that the MDSC sets the standard for state advocacy, and we're really honored to be here with you all today. Thank you for inviting us, and I want to especially thank Maureen Gallagher, Mo Blazewski, Jackie Sherman, the MDSC board, and the entire team that makes this event possible. Since the moment you reach out to us, we've appreciated your warmth and thoughtful handling of our needs. I wish I could have brought Greg, Cole, and Jude, and also some better weather from Virginia, but some miracles are not that possible, so. Some of you did hear me speak at the NDSC conference a few years ago in DC, and others just attended the breakout session that we just had, which I hope was helpful. And I know that I only have a few minutes today, and I'm really the warm-up act for the star of the show, Naya, so allow me to get started. For many of you, you know our story is one of choosing for Naya, remembering we heard during our most difficult days, the miracle you ask for may not be the miracle you receive. Our story left off with Naya in preschool as we began to navigate the public school system. Allow me for a minute to return to choosing Naya. 15 years later, most families with children like Naya are not faced with the choice, and most that are still faced with the choice choose differently. Choosing Naya for us meant a commitment then to challenging Naya. While most of you likely just leapt into your challenge, ours came with deep reflection, prayer, and research. But once we chose Naya, we knew it was our responsibility as parents to challenge her every step of the way. Making the shift to challenging Naya for me was not just seeing Naya as a baby with Down syndrome. There was a time when I was just filled with self-consciousness, wondering what others thought, seeing Naya's disability first. It was front and center in our lives, after all, occupying much of our thought and some of our worry. When will she walk? Will she talk? How much will she lag? How will others treat her? What will her eventual siblings think? Will we travel, work, and function like other families? Life was about making our way with Naya, our first child, as best we knew how. Then one day, I remember noticing just how much I wasn't thinking about Down syndrome at all, or disabilities. Rather, my focus was strictly on seeing Naya and embracing her potential. For Greg and I, the challenge was on. In the early years, challenging Naya meant figuring out what we didn't know and accessing all the services we could in support of her. We also had to challenge others to see Naya's potential. We learned early on that if our expectations weren't the highest for Naya, we could easily be led down the path of least resistance and into one of learned helplessness. When we moved to Virginia, for instance, we were selecting a daycare, and while many were concerned about Naya not meeting the developmental milestones, we did find one center willing to partner with us to meet Naya where she was. I remember worrying about whether she would sleep on the mat or eat at the table without spilling her cup. But with support and patience, Naya rose to the challenge. And when it was time to choose preschool, the school system told us that they had a wonderful option for Naya, a special education preschool with plenty of adults and low class sizes. We went to the preschool, but then we asked the administrators if they wouldn't mind coming to see Naya in her daycare also. And what we learned at their preschool was that Naya was going to be speaking among the best in the whole school, and she was only 2 years old. While at her daycare, the officials saw her thriving, challenged by her peers, supported by adults, and we even had struck a deal with our education school to get some graduate students in to offer extra support while gaining credit for their program. I'm here to tell you that your expectations and attitude can make all the difference. High expectations can be off-putting for some. Some may see you as unrealistic. We talked about this in the breakout session. During one meeting, when I was advocating for additional support for Naya's inclusive experience, I remember the educator saying, "See, you want the Cadillac, but when all we can afford to give you is the VW. That's true, I thought. So how can we assemble the Cadillac from the support you can give and the ingenuity and creativity we'll bring? So we'll make up that difference ourselves, and that's what we've set out to do. Here we've learned that being committed to Naya's future would mean assembling the Cadillac ourselves. And for me in particular, that assembly required much more of my attention than I was used to providing. It was here that I had to make a hard turn for our family, one that was exceptionally challenging at first, but most rewarding. I adjusted my career to ensure that I could be there for Naya and the boys. While I was still able to work, I just made some different changes. And that's part of why we're able to be here today. And if there's one thing that I'd recommend, is that assembling the Cadillac becomes easier if you can put things in the IEP. Team meetings 4 times a year, a behavior goal, social stories, and as many accommodations as are allowed. This year, we even added a goal for Naya's participation in extracurricular activities, just so we could all be accountable for helping her get involved in her high school. Challenging Naya also means that confidence matters. Ensuring Naya had every opportunity to succeed in school meant understanding that she needed to become a confident learner. I remember a story that my husband Greg told of his own elementary school experience in Alabama in the mid-1960s. His mom told him as an African-American boy to always sit in the front of the classroom and raise your hand. The message, don't be discounted. So in our house, we embrace that too. For Naya, that started with her behavior. Research shows that kindergarten success has more to do with behavior than anything else. So in addition to working on pre-literacy, we focused on helping her to attend, follow directions, and be confident. We practiced telling stories at the dinner table off a picture from the newspaper, talking through conversations she'd have with her teachers after a bad day. As she got older, we instituted weekend preview so she could review concepts from the week before or preview new ones so she could participate in class that next week. And even though confidence sometimes leads to what I would call sassy and bossy these days, I'm here to tell you that it's a price I'm willing to pay. Making that adjustment is far easier than teaching her to speak up for herself now. We're working here on resilience, the understanding that we learn from failure and try again. And for our children, building confidence means repetition and lots of it. I'm here to tell you that it's not about whether Naya will do something, it's about when. Just like in preschool, when her teacher approached me, defeated about Naya's ability to wash her hands and get back to circle, we realized that what she needed was a clear and simple routine. And what would take our boys 5 times might take Naya 50 or even 500. But it was our responsibility not to get discouraged for her. We too have to be confident as her advocates. I remember one team meeting in middle school when her social studies teachers were lamenting Naya's inability to grasp the higher order history concepts. As a result, she was having behavior challenges in class. Their words disheartened me, and then I asked the other teachers around the team meeting room whether they had the same challenges. No, they each replied. One was reinforcing Naya's good classroom behaviors with stars on a sticky note right on her desk, which led to rewards. Another told me that Naya had competed in the class spelling bee earlier that week, and she came in 3rd among her typical peers. That meeting showed me who Naya's champions were and how I could use them to help shine a light on her assets rather than her deficiencies. Collaboration has been the key to Naya's success, and so even when I'm discouraged, I look to partners to help break through a challenge and find a positive path forward. Each year, we have found an incredible champions that see Naya's potential and help her succeed. In addition to her team at school and her family, we've benefited from a number of University of Virginia students who've helped Naya with her homework, sharing their own study habits, and putting her favorite songs on to psych her up for a test. Naya has assembled now a set of caring young adults that she organizes social events with herself, and I'm lucky if I get an invite. Our teams over the years have been great, but high school has really gone above and beyond. I like to say that Naya is going for a standard diploma until she can't anymore. It's the least restrictive path. It's not just about the end in itself, which would be great if she can get there, but we see her studying, accomplishing, and advocating as skills for her life. Naya's high school team has been wonderful, helping us understand what's available and how to access it. Naya will tell you about her summer internship experience last year in just a few minutes. This year, she hopes to find a bakery to work in. I'm here to tell you that there are many obstacles, and I know you know that, but finding willing partners helps us to remove the barriers. Right now, for instance, we just learned that Naya was found ineligible for a vocational assessment program. The reasons? Her IQ and independent living skills. You have to laugh at the irony when Naya's on track for a standard diploma in high school and has better hygiene and is more organized than most teens. But probably the hardest part of challenging Naya for me is establishing consistency. This is where Greg has been a rock. He tells the kids that achievement just doesn't happen. It's not about ability. Its achievement comes with effort, and I would add encouragement. For me, it was about being able to hear when my actions weren't reinforcing the outcomes that we needed. For instance, Greg would ask, when is Naya going to shower by herself? Just give me a year. Tell me. Or why is Naya riding with sidewalkers next to her horse? She's been doing that for years. If we don't challenge ourselves and others to help her be more independent, who will? Greg and I try to reinforce constant and consistent discipline at home and in school, but we challenge her team to be consistent in her schoolwork, ensure she's speaking in complete sentences and as clearly as possible. We challenge her team to use her strengths, her memory, her focus and confidence to tackle even the hardest subjects like she's doing now in algebra and in writing. Processes, steps, and reinforcement matter. And yes, as the people in the breakout session heard, I love Quizlet. So challenging Naya has led to Naya's creativity, resourcefulness, and resilience. You can see what Naya was for Halloween last year. She decided that she had to be a zombie mermaid waitress. Yes, not one, but all three of those things put together. So we set out to make that happen, and one of her very good young friends took her out for Halloween. Naya will also tell you that one of her favorite things to do is to play with her dolls. She has a number of American Girl dolls, but actually she still uses her Groovy Girls for when she was here as a baby. Well, her dad took away her dolls last month because she was getting too distracted with her dolls getting ready for school, and she didn't make it downstairs on time. So recently, I said, Naya asked me after her homework if she could play with her dolls. And I said, Naya, I thought Dad took your dolls. And she said, yes, he did. I mean my paper dolls. Naya actually made paper dolls that she plays with in her room while her real dolls are missing and she doesn't have them. So, when I think about the problem solving and resourcefulness that Naya brings, it's incredible to me, but it makes me laugh as well. And it really heartens us to know that she's able to think through challenges on her own. You'll hear in a minute about Naya's goals for her future. What I can tell you is that challenging Naya has created opportunities for Naya's choices. We don't know exactly what those will bring, whether it's putting her mind to creating a wedding cake or giving me a pep talk, as she did last night when I was stressed about a problem I was solving for my mom. Or more and more, now we see that we're paving the way for Naya to create her own vibrant future, one which we are excited to watch unfold. So thank you so much for having us. Thank you for your attention. And now allow me to introduce you to my daughter, Naya.